You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your number one source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's The Sing-Off After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's The Sing-Off After Show.
After show.
Figure it out.
Oh, hi.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the AFTERBUZZ Sing-Off Season 4, Episode 4, My Generation. I am Tamara Berg. I'm joined in the studio by the incorrigible Steve Bottomley.
She brought the glug. That's all I'm saying.
And Ms. Kimlai Yingling. I stopped drinking a good 30 minutes ago, I just want to say, and I did not drive over here. Hey, everybody. We're so glad you're with us. Our ratings increase here at AFTERBUZZ for the Sing-Off every week, and we're super excited for all of you who are watching us and enjoying the Sing-Off with us. We are enjoying you, your comments, and having a great time. I feel like it's like a big singing musical love-in, this show. Don't you guys feel that way?
Our family is expanding.
It is.
You know, checking out the videos on YouTube and seeing what people are saying and the iTunes and
There's
all that
lots
stuff.
of tweeting going on as well.
A lot of tweeting.
There is. And we're
I leave it to the tweet master over there.
Yeah, Steve, you and your 20 followers, or do you have 21 now?
I may have 22.
Oh,
Really?
well, that's a 10% increase, mister.
My follower
That's
wall
amazing.
needs to expand.
Well, okay.
It's crazy.
I've taken you out of some of the tweets because it's so long and it doesn't give
Yeah,
room.
you might as
His Twitter
well.
handle's
Give
so
me
long, he
Tamara
ruins our
enough room.
tweets.
Yeah. No, that's
Well,
very smart
thank
of
you for joining us, guys. I don't know whose phone keeps going. It's yours because it sounds exactly like mine.
Of course it's hers.
Let's begin tonight's show, yesterday's show, actually. My Generation, the opening number, we had our... How many? 7 groups.
Yes.
So they started with the song My Generation by The Who, We Will Rock You by Queen, and It's Time by Imagine Dragons. Again, another wonderful opening number. It was, big and fun, but I got to say, not one of my favorites. I see your face. Tell me what you're thinking, Kimlai.
I like trying. Look it. No eye rolling tonight.
No, good for you.
No, do it.
No eye roll.
Okay.
You didn't like it, did you?
No, not at all. I didn't care for the transitions in between the tunes. I thought the tempos were too drastic. It went from slow to I didn't like the transitions in between. It didn't move me. And I know it's the title was My Generation.
Right.
But I mean, obviously it could have been a faster generation. I mean, I didn't get the thought process behind that opening.
I feel like kind of what you're saying is that you weren't connecting necessarily with the tunes. Yeah.
Correct.
Steve, did you have a thought about
I'm
it?
kind of with you. I mean, they went from My Generation, which was 60s, We Will Rock You, which was 80s, to or late 70s, I think.
I think it was late 70s.
Late
actually.
70s to Time.
Right. It's Time.
Which was
A couple of years ago.
Yeah. And I don't know. Were there 7 groups out there, or were there just the ones performing? Because it seemed kind of sparse.
Do you know what? I was writing my notes and listening. I wasn't so much watching. So maybe it was fewer groups.
I think it was only because I think it was my 4. Note. Yeah.
Okay, so it was the 4 who competed tonight or last night.
Yes, because 1, 2, 2. Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So my note on it was it's a little easier to keep track when there's less people.
Well, but I mean,
I kind of agreed. The problem with less people is it's not
fewer people.
As big a sound as past openings.
Well, and in the episode 3, then there were the same number of groups competing, and they sang the In Your Eyes and all that.
Right.
So, but that was a completely different number, and it wasn't a medley like this one was. So, I mean, I think it was fun. It had great potential, but it felt like a less stellar version of one of the group songs.
When you have My Generation, when you have We Will Rock You, those are songs you have heard the same way for decades.
Yep.
So to take those and not do them just, I know, I will write my own letter about being a purist and about taking it as their own, but...
Who is that? Is that you?
Yeah.
For God's sake, turn off
it
your
on
ringer.
vibrate. But this is all for us.
What are you
there
ordering?
two
Eat an Asian?
who-
What the hell
There's
is going
men
on?
on stage. What?
Don't read them if you don't understand them.
For
Continue what you're
AfterBuzz.
saying, Steve.
They're trying to watch us live. Okay,
So
go.
yeah, so
Go. Vibrate.
yeah, if you're gonna do those, you really have to. I think you really have to get everybody in by hitting the core things,
Right.
Which is bum bum bam, with
Yeah.
that, and which we'll talk about later.
Exactly. We will.
And so yeah, it was just kind of like, I felt it was kind of elevator music version of those songs.
Well, I wouldn't quite say that, but I would say it was lackluster compared to what they have done in the past and what we know they can do for a group
and
member.
might have
Yes.
been because there were less people. I don't know.
No, I don't buy that.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
What does your phone say?
They're trying to watch us on AfterBuzzTV.com. And you're like, there's two men standing there.
Well, change the channel. There's more than one channel on AfterBuzz
like-
that's showing, so you can
yeah,
you
right.
can change the channels.
Marissa, is there somewhere specific they should go if they want to watch the live feed?
AfterBuzz TV, and you click
Right?
on the Sing-Off on the
Right. So you just have to
whoops.
find
I forgot that
the
one.
the banner of the
Don't
Sing-Off
click
and
on
it'll
that
be
show.
live.
Two guys standing there.
Okay.
shows-
So
wow, okay.
back on track, people. Focus, wine
Okay.
drinkers, over here. So the highlighted judge for last week was Sean Stockman,
Yes.
who gave the specific comments to each group. This week it was Ben Folds, my boyfriend Ben Folds, and so one of the things that he said I thought was really interesting. And again, I would just like to point out, as much as everybody knows he's like the brilliant one of all of these people, it's not translating in what he's saying, or at least what they're showing in the show. People keep talking about it. There's an article I'm going to talk about during the news. Nick Lachey introduces him as this, amazing, charming, knowledgeable guy, and we're not really getting it from him. And that bothers me because every season prior to this, I would watch the show. We talked about this last season, how I would watch the show and say something and go, something about the modulation and blah, blah, blah. And then, 10 minutes later, Ben would say pretty much the same thing I said. And I'd like, see how smart I am. And it was cool. And we're not getting that this season, which
No.
just, because he's so brilliant. And I would love to hear more of him talk. But, that's how it goes.
But it's not only just the brilliance. He's funny.
Yes.
He's quirky. There's
He's
like
charming, yes.
For whatever reason, they kind of went, don't do any of that stuff.
None of it.
That makes you.
Right.
And you
Or
guys,
there's a choice in editing to pull it out. I don't know where they're going with it.
Yeah, and I don't understand that because it's one of the great selling points of this show.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
is it just me, or did you guys notice in this episode that Jewel talks a lot?
Yes.
Her feedback is very good.
It is.
She's very educated. She's using absolute musical terms.
Right.
But it's a little too much for me. I wish they wouldn't let her speak so long. That's all.
The first two seasons had Nicole Scherzinger, and she was just, she wasn't as musically inclined as any of the other judges, and she would just basically kind of give an overall show comment. I loved you. I thought you were awesome. That was great energy, but she wouldn't give a lot of musical comments. So maybe the fact that they've got, Sarah last season and Jewel this season, the girls are kind of elevating the girl game. Maybe that's why they're focusing on Jewel this season and really letting her shine. I don't know. Maybe it's
Well, she is kind of saying a lot of the stuff that Ben Folds was saying last season.
It does seem like he would say some of the things she's saying. I
Yes.
just wish they would even it out a little more.
Yeah.
Because I think a selling part of the show is Ben Folds.
Right. It is part of it.
It's like, where's
even
Ben
when you're giving him
Folds?
the opportunity to be the coach, it seems like they were like.
Well, yeah,
the only time we got to see a little bit of Ben Folds when he was like you'd cross the T's and cross the I's
and dot the T's.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much it.
Right.
And that used to be like that was the bar.
That was the
last year.
baseline for him, yeah. Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Anyway, I kind of miss the, seeing the charm of him because he's an incredibly engaging, charming guy, and I miss seeing that. So, one of the things that he said was when he was talking to, no, he wasn't, I don't think he was talking to a particular group, but he was saying, as a general note, something is getting in the way of who these groups are, between how, who they are and how they're communicating with the audience. And he said, an artist can discern or identify identify, I'm not sure the exact word he used, who they are at the same time that the audience identifies that.
Yes.
And that's like, we've all seen it, right? We've been in the audience when that like moment happens. You've been on stage when you know it's happening and the connection is happening. And I thought that was such a brilliant thing to say and so interesting. Didn't you guys love that, Kimlai?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. He was also talking about in that same sentence he was talking, saying that he said that superpower is just being you, and it's like you have to be vulnerable, and it's interesting to me because that just like in hosting or any type of entertainment field, right? Just Oprah. Right. It's like she's so popular because she is vulnerable to her audience. Right. And so these groups, the more vulnerable they are, the more we're going to connect with them.
Of course.
You know? And so it's like he's telling them, it's like we all know this. Right. But it's like it's so hard to do.
Well, because it's terrifying. You know, you're already naked enough, figuratively speaking, while you're standing on stage. You're pouring your heart out through your art. You're setting yourself up for a massive failure potentially, and you can't be more vulnerable, and then he's asking you to be even more vulnerable.
It takes a huge amount of confidence. And
but the payoff, it's so rewarding.
Absolutely, and it's really easy to say, why don't you guys get this? Because, you know, but once you're up there and once you realize that millions of people are watching and you don't get to go back if you make a mistake. And the last thing on your mind is like, oh, I'm going to open my soul. You know, it's just, it takes so much confidence and ability to go, you know, oh, screw it, man, I'm just going to be me.
Right.
Okay, but that takes a lot of years.
And the other thing is that sometimes you think being me is this, and then you realize, no, it's not this, it's this.
Again, years and years and maturity and learning the trade and all that stuff. So, yes, there are some bands that can take that, and some groups that can take that and go, yeah, I totally get what he's saying. Some won't.
Right.
I don't think Vocal Rush is going to, you know, understand that concept.
No, because they're 16.
Exactly. So, but yeah, the point is actually well said.
Right. Okay, so let's go into the first group. It's Home Free. So in the package before, they talked about how they actually tour all the time. They do 250 shows a year. So they're very few days off a week essentially. They're doing Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash, and in it they were saying they were going to try to have a tender moment. You and I watched this together, Steve. Tell me what you were thinking at that moment when they said that.
I was saying, if you have to say the word "try to have a tender moment," you're probably not going to have a tender moment.
Right.
I am going to try to be loving here, honey.
Right.
I'm really going to try. Talk about being vulnerable. But, you know, I guess the slow start was their tender moment.
Yeah.
Again, you know, the thing with that Home Free package, again, is they are really pushing them into the goofy monkeys sort of, hey, we're just a bunch of wild, kooky guys. Who left the banana in the sink again? And I'm just saying, the video package that they're doing before the show,
right?
You know, it's just like, man, somebody step up and just, if that's not who they are, let them be who they are, because I'm not buying the package.
Well, especially when that's the theme of the show, essentially. I mean, not my generation, but, you know, be who you are and be vulnerable, like Ben was saying.
But aren't you getting that? I mean, are you feeling that? Where
there's a
little force, a little push, a little of the zany, kooky banana split sort of.
I never really thought of it that way, but I see that when you say it. Yes. Do you agree? Do you agree with that or no? You don't understand what he's saying, do you?
Well, I don't really get the whole banana analogy.
It's there for scale.
But
for all you Redditors out there, you know what I'm saying.
Oh my gosh. I do think that that's always going to happen whenever you get people that are producing it and putting those packages together.
They got to put a spin on it, right?
Yes, and they're going to do what they think is best, and so it might not necessarily gel with who the artist is actually. And that's what that one guy, the dude with the beard, the kooky looking one. Yeah. I mean, the Duck Dynasty guy. Right. He looks like he probably acts like that. He's funny, like the whole boom or whatever he did, that thing that people do, boom, boom, boom.
Right,
boom.
but the problem with the package can be that if you're starting to push them into an area that they're not really comfortable or not really who they are, that's also going to come across in the package.
But because they end up looking like fools. They don't.
Exactly.
Yeah, they don't deliver.
Did I miss something on the package?
Maybe.
Go watch it
I
again.
must have, seriously.
Let's talk about the song. Okay, the slow melodic open I thought really worked nicely. I thought it was a beautiful song. I thought the chord that they did before that percussion break it blew my mind just a little bit. Not a huge amount, but a little bit. I loved it. And that slow close note with Tim, the bass. That everybody was like, and they were pimping it in the promos all the last couple of days. Sean Stockman going, wow, like this. I mean, it was.
That's the lowest I've ever heard, and that was
soul
dead
stirring,
on
right? Yes.
Yeah, it was.
Yes. Standing ovation from the judges. Austin, who's that tenor lead, the sort of, handsome one of the group.
Like butter.
And okay, the one criticism is that I'm going to stand up for this is that dance move. The
Wide shot.
Oh my gosh, what are you doing?
Pocket crotch
Are we
pat
getting
walk.
her out of wide shot right now?
Oh,
The pocket crotch.
okay.
Pat walk. They got to find a new dance move. I know it's
very
like
Western, very country
but they've
Western.
done it. They learned it 2 episodes ago. They learned it in episode 2, and they've not stepped away from it. It's that line dancing, country line dancing thing with the pocket crotch pat.
It's as if their genre is keeping them locked into something.
Oh, come
Where
on.
have I heard that before, Steve Bottomley?
Anyways.
Okay, Kimlai, what do you have to say?
I really, really liked the intro. I thought it was absolutely amazing. I think it was such a dynamic rendition of the song, and they're so going outside of the box that they have been put in.
No, but okay.
No, I did like what Jewel was saying about how they are acapella / country / reggae. I mean, they are
Right, the reggae beat that they brought in. That was great.
They are changing things up a bit. I mean, they might have that little 2-step thing down and their cowboy boots. I mean, they're country. They're country, for God's sake. But
yeah, they are. But there was also old school acapella that didn't last either. So
they're lasting, Steve. They're lasting.
No, Street Corner Rendezvous.
Who's that?
Who the hell were they?
Well, anyways, so
Street Corner
Renaissance.
Come on now. Wait, didn't they get booted last?
Yes, they
episode,
did.
right?
Yes, they did.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying is that, yes, they did a great job on this, but it really is still in their wheelhouse. What happens when they're throwing something that they need to get out of their wheelhouse a little bit?
Yeah, but you're creating stuff that hasn't even happened yet.
But the other thing is, I think they're relying too much on the bass guy. He carried that song.
I think you're right. I think there's a danger of them overusing the gimmick of him.
Exactly.
Yeah. But you have to admit, in this song, it was a brilliant use of him.
It was a wonderful song. It was a great performance. I really enjoyed every moment of it. Can they do Queen?
Well, here's the thing. Okay, I want to go back to Street Corner Renaissance, okay? Because the thing is...
Rendezvous?
Yeah, no. The difference between Home Free being in their niche and Street Corner Renaissance being in their niche is that Home Free's niche is wider because they can do kind of rock and roll and country. And Street Corner Renaissance really could just do doo-wop and maybe a little bit into pop.
Right.
Doo-wop pop. So that's the only I understand and to some degree agree with what you're saying about them getting stuck in their niche, but I just think their niche is a little wider than some of the others.
It absolutely is. And I don't think
then Street Corner Renaissance. Home Free is a little wider
than Street Corner.
And I don't think Home Free does not have the chops or the ability to do anything.
Sorry, say that again.
I said I don't think Home Free does not have the chops or the ability to do anything. I think they can probably do whatever's given to them.
Yeah.
If they have the time to really figure it out.
Right, and they haven't yet, as far as you're concerned.
As far as I'm concerned, they haven't. Not too. When you're talking about only 2 left, and again, if I'm going to sit in the audience.
Right.
So anyway, but yeah, Ring of Fire, I loved it. And I really like that song anyway. So.
Right, right. I thought it was fantastic. And as Steve and I were watching it together, and, Steve has taught me to really pay attention to the comments because it tells you what's going to happen in the rest of the show. And we both look at each other and go, yeah, they're not in the bottom 2. They're not in the bottom 2, no way. Because there wasn't a single criticism about them.
Because Nick needs a reason.
Right, exactly. Okay, let's move on to voice play. They did Don't Speak by No Doubt in their very plaid outfits. I swear to God, the NBC wardrobe people just went in and they called to their assistant and they go, get everything plaid in menswear. Crazier the better. I don't want any earth tones, and bring it all up here. The costumes were crazy. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, my thoughts. I like the arrangement. I felt like Honey was sharp in a lot of it. And a little bit like they were shouting. But the judges gave them all raves.
Mm-hmm. That was one of those things that we were talking about earlier about they hear things we don't hear.
Yes.
And they don't hear things that we do hear because to me, first of all, it seemed really pitchy.
Yeah.
And the bridge, when they went to the bridge, where they did the step out and all that stuff, it just got really messy. I didn't know where they were. And kind of waiting for them to come back. The other thing about it was, if you have the front girl being emotional and having all the energy, you have to let her have that. You can't have the whole back being just as emotional and crazy.
Because then your audience doesn't know where to focus, right?
Exactly, and it also affects the overall song. That was the other problem they had. It's like keep the focus on one person, let them carry it. And let the audience focus, and you'll be fine.
Right.
But man, I was surprised they didn't get any notes because, I've got a pretty good sound system at home, and it sounded pretty bitchy.
Yeah. What did you think, Kimlai?
I liked, just like with Home Fries, I really liked the intro.
Home free.
I know. I know.
I like that we call them that, though. It's our little pet name for them.
Yes.
Yes. Home Fries.
Night, Home Fries. Sleep well, see you in the
Now I'm
morning.
hungry.
I really liked their arrangement at the beginning, just like with the Home Fries. I really liked that, it was slow. It was good. I thought it was such a given which two were going to be and which two were not going to be this episode. So I was like, vocally, I thought that they all did come together. They were trying to be emotional. I agree with you on the whole emotional. Who do you focus on? Who do you? I didn't like how she was going over. Oh gosh, I don't know. First she went over to the guy on the right, then she went over to the guy on the left, and it was like, and it was like, ooh, I don't know. I wasn't connecting. I didn't like it.
Steve, you and I know this from writing, that in order to be able to recognize emotional peaks and emotional valleys, there needs to be that opportunity for the ups and downs. Otherwise, if it's all up here or all down here, there's no variation and you can't recognize it.
Okay.
And I think that's kind of what was going on here. It was just constantly emotional. And I also wrote shouting in my notes. It seemed like they were just shouting at each other at some point.
Now, were they have they been down in the lower two? Voice play? Were they down in there last week?
Let me look back at my notes.
Not last. No, it was Philharmonic and the
I think they may have. Were they the first episode?
Yes.
I think they were in the first episode.
Because it just seemed like they were trying really hard.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand why they needed to feel that.
But trying really hard and doing really hard are kind of different concepts. I know that's sort of a lame way of putting it, but I think you know what I mean.
They were trying to get to the emotional side, something they're not known for doing, and so I think they got a little in their effort to try tried a little too hard.
So I was just really surprised that the judges gave them raves,
right?
Gave them raves.
I was too.
I didn't hear that.
Here's one of the things I wanted to bring up with you guys because we have a little extra time because we're not talking about so many groups. I was at a party this weekend and brought up the sing-off to one of my friends who was at the party, and he was saying that he really didn't like voice play. Hey, Bob. Because it was this group that was, how many guys? 5 guys?
5 guys.
That were together, and they decided they needed to bring a girl in, right? And so they brought the girl in. She ended up being their lead, and it's just like lead and back up, lead and back up. And he says, I don't consider that to be true a cappella. And I mean, technically, of course, it's true a cappella, but it's not sort of the cooperative scenario of what a lot of a cappella is, that real team sense. And that's what he was sort of speaking to.
But has voice play utilized her as the front person in every song?
Pretty much.
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty much,
because that's not what Pentatonics did. Pentatonics did shift
never.
that lead over.
I mean, not never, but yeah, they would shift it a lot of times between Kirsty and Scott. So, I mean, I just thought that was an interesting comment. Do you agree with that?
I absolutely agree with it.
Yeah.
I think they're definitely relying her being that front person, that girl, and I did feel that. I'm glad you said that he said that, because that's how I feel.
We can thank Bob for that.
Thank you, Bob.
And that might be something that hopefully they're going to start to be aware of and step out one of the backup or the backup,
one of the guys,
because they were obviously working together beforehand. So why they added the girl, I don't know. But
well, I'm sure they just needed more depth and that sort of thing. And then the bald guy, Ellie, I think was his name. He did add some extra vocal elements to this, and he did kind of sort of broach the lead. But I thought that was such an interesting idea. And I remember when I was doing a cappella, and Paul was our director, and I would pitch songs to him, and he would say, "Yeah, I don't really like that song because it's a lead with a bunch of guys, singing in the background, and it's a lead doing all the heavy lifting, and the ooh-wops in the background are just kind of there to support the lead, and it's not the spirit of the teamwork of a cappella." And until Bob brought this up to me at this party, I thought, well, yeah, you're absolutely right. Of course, I was drinking, guess what, red wine. No, but I mean,
heavy drinkers.
Well,
usually.
But it is a good point. It is a good point because you do see that lead shift to the various different people in the groups. I guess we haven't seen that yet, but I'm sure they could.
Right.
I'm sure they could do it very easily.
I think it's something for them to consider because it's...
But who knows if they're going to consider it, though, Tamara, because it wasn't even in their notes. No one even said for them to do that.
Okay, but one of the things I think I've said before, and if not, then I'm going to say it now and think I did it before, that the notes are much longer live.
I know.
And what we see is a majorly edited version of what the notes are. I mean, they're way edited down. And, of course, there's also coaching that goes on between the groups and the judges that we probably don't even see.
They have to be aware of it. They just have to be aware of, we will need to have somebody else, because there's going to be another song coming up where it's just going to be, a male lead. It's just going to be...
Right.
Yeah, and it is starting to feel like she's just a lead singer and they're the backup.
Right.
It felt like that to me this time.
But to that note, I would say however they arrange it, it's still a cappella.
Absolutely it is.
We'll have a different discussion coming up. Which is certainly more interesting. Well, not interesting, but it's more intriguing.
So let's move on to Element, who's the all-girl group in the beaded dresses. That's their shtick, their hook. You Keep Me Hanging On by the Supremes. I love this song. I think it's a great song. And one of the things, again, because Ben was the featured judge, he says if you have other singers in the same range and in the same range, they're actually not backing you up. They're getting in your way, or they're competing with you because you're all singing kind of in the same, color. And I think you really hear that with them. I felt like this arrangement was messy.
Yep.
And the wasn't in there at all. And again, that's one of those trademarks that we listen for in songs like this. When the judges are saying, "I like your movement, your dresses are pretty, and you look good in a singing competition,"
Thank you.
Well,
not suck, but...
you don't. You've got trouble if they're looking at the dresses.
Exactly.
I'll say.
Come on.
I have no idea how the episode ended, so I just don't know what happened to them. But
what? What do you mean?
We haven't gotten there yet, is all he's saying. Go ahead.
They just don't have dynamic range, and I don't think it has anything to do with whether or not they can get a deep bass in their rhythm section.
Really?
For instance, at the end, basically the end was split into two refrains. Okay? Correct. And the first refrain, who was up front? Do you know the girl's name? Emily.
They're all Emily.
Say, wait, which Emily?
The one that was singing?
The Caucasian one.
Yeah.
Sure. She was going all over the place, and it was great. It sounded really good. And then in the second half, she just drops into the group voice, and it was just like, you had them. If you just stepped it up once more and gone even bigger, that could have been a huge ending. And that's always been the problem. They've never been able to take it from point A to point B to the end and make it bigger along the way. So, and I agree with you. I thought the melodic harmonies when they were actually, on the melody, and those were really interesting and sounded great. It was the overall, it was the overall oohs and ahs. Those were out, and they were making it messy. And sometimes when you have that many voices, and I kind of wonder, does anybody say, hey, it's okay to not sing for a little while?
Right?
Just because you're there, it doesn't mean you have to sing. Maybe just wait and use that as a dynamic buildup. Use that. Just you have a lot of voices. You can use them in different places.
Well, especially when you've got a group like this who has a more limited, I don't want to say limited, but more limited vocal range than the groups that have men in them, then the dynamics are a great ally and an asset that you have. And if you're not using the dynamics, then you've just sort of eliminated one of those possibilities.
Yeah.
Kimlai, what did you think about Element?
Well, you guys remember in the episode, I don't know if it was the one before, where that one girl was saying, I guess I'm going to start arranging the tunes. She just kind of fell into it. It's oh my gosh. So I don't know if they have someone telling them that it's okay to not sing.
Right.
I am not a fan still of this group. I don't think the fire is in them. When there's people that they're artists, and some people say you have to go through hard times to be, but some people just have that fire. They have that. They want it so bad. And these girls, I don't feel it at all. I don't think they're extraordinary in any way. Vocally, together, they're very messy. I just think they're trying to be pretty, and I don't know. It's a girl group, and it's not even a good girl group. I honestly don't know why they're still here.
Okay.
And I had them. I think they should have picked another song.
But it's a great song. They had a great opportunity with that song.
They had an opportunity. They didn't take it.
I agree with that.
Absolutely did not take it.
It
wasn't big enough. I didn't care for the arrangement. I didn't like the intro. I already had them pegged in the bottom two. Such a given.
It got really close to being big enough, but for whatever reason, they stepped away from actually sending it over the top.
They were
afraid. Put them in different clothes, for God's sake.
They were afraid of being vulnerable.
Yes. It's a chick.
I'm just going to say that. Okay, let's move on to Vocal Rush, high school group, just in case anybody doesn't remember that. Doing Holding Out for a Hero, Bonnie Tyler, the song from Footloose. I felt like it was scattered. They were kind of all over the place, and it was musically scattered, and the energy was scattered. And I think you had a similar thought, right, Steve?
Yeah, there was no focus on okay, so who do we watch? The girl that was slapping the stage in the beginning should have taken it and just run with it,
right?
Because she had energy. She seemed to know what the song was and the hook. But again, there's just a maturity that comes along with saying, don't do this. Just wait. Again, there's a lot of voices. You don't have to use them all at once. You can use them to build. So I'm absolutely with you.
Kimlai?
I had them pegged in the bottom two as well.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little rushed. I do think that at this point, youth is a plus for them.
Yeah.
I think it's a plus for them because they're not jaded and they're willing to take those risks. That was the first group that I heard of that said, what do we look like in the 80s? They focused on their hair and their clothes, and it was so cute.
It was cute.
I think that eventually...
If they only knew what you look like in the 80s. Chances are you were coked out in the bottom of it.
Oh my God!
Some of us.
So I heard.
Tamara, I were not. Wasn't
I read in a newspaper.
I just saw a documentary on it. That's all I know.
As you
Whatever.
Okay.
Was a documentary on you?
Yeah, right?
Gosh. I think
Hi, boys. Don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs. Drugs are bad.
Don't do drugs. This is what happens when you're buying drugs.
Drugs are bad.
Drugs.
Okay.
I think that they'll eventually sound good. Obviously, I think they're so cute and good right now.
Yeah.
That give a few years now. Okay, but you guys, this group, has the fire. They have a fire, and I'm pretty sure. You guys. I am pretty sure that this group didn't face, well, I don't know, but major hardship. I mean, they have that fire that it's just inside of them to want to win this and be such amazing performers.
Right, because they haven't been crushed like all of the backup singers in 10 who've been crushed through their career.
Been crushed. They look
Steve's been crushed in his career, and I've been crushed in my career.
And over
again and again. Right. No, I'm just joking. But there is that youthful optimism. youthful optimism, right?
Yeah, for sure. And this is where it definitely works to their advantage.
Totally.
But they were all over.
Now, I want to bring up something. We talked about this. Again, I talked to Bob on Saturday. It's
Bob.
true. His name is Bob.
Bob was a wealth of
a longtime friend of mine. And you know, usually I talk to the two of you about this Sing-Off, and to find someone else to talk to about it, I was like,
thanks for the phone call on Saturday.
Because we avoid you at party.
Thanks.
Oh, God, not another Sing-Off conversation.
As a matter of fact, you were at that party. Okay, so he said, Bob said, I don't like Vocal Rush because they cheat. And I was like, what? And I said, but I loved how they, did the stomping in that first song that they did. And he goes, I think that's cheating because they're using an instrument. And he, wait, what? Because so in this song, the girl started doing this, right? And he said they're using the stage as an instrument. Using the stage as an instrument is cheating. Ready? Discuss. Steve.
Well, first thought is everyone has access. So it's not like they're bringing something no one else has.
Excellent point.
So
one for you.
If everybody else wants to use the stage, more the merrier.
Right.
If they're able to do it creatively and where it draws attention to them, that's using what they have.
Right.
So although I will say, yes, technically it's an instrument because it's something external.
Right.
It's not an instrument no one else has. So I guess they are using it, but they're not cheating.
Okay, Kimlai?
I don't think it's cheating. Remember last week, what was the group? They were doing the stomping.
That was vocal. That was in their opening number, their first one that they did. Yeah.
Oh, I liked that.
Right. Okay. So what? And actually, I'm just going to continue the conversation that I had with Bob. When I was in college, I was on the speech team. We were doing a dramatic reading was one of the categories. And in dramatic reading, even though everything is memorized, you have to have a script in front of you, and you have to use the script and turn the pages while you're doing your 10-minute speech. Okay.
Nick from Nashville said you have to do Bob. If you're going to talk about Bob, you have to be Bob.
Okay. All right.
So, they're watching. Yay, okay. Nick and Lee.
Thank you. Woo-hoo. Thanks for watching, you guys. We really appreciate it. So Bob is bald, so that's going to be a little hard for me to do. And about
I know him, so I'm very interested in how you're going to pull this off.
I'm going to do Bob. Bob and I couldn't be more different. Okay. So anyway, one of the things you had to do was you had to have your script in front of you. That was one of the requirements of this category. This couple came in. They did a musical. This was at Nationals, and they used their script as a prop. So they would make it a hat, a brooch, and a pterodactyl. Okay, they would make it a hat, and they would make it different things.
That sounds like cheating.
And the girl tap danced. Okay, this was not in a drama event. It was in a speech event that was dramatic reading. And so what ended up happening is they won Nationals, and there was a huge hubbub because it felt like cheating to a lot of us. And I feel like this is a really parallel scenario because everybody had access to this script and they were using it in a very innovative way. They ended up winning, and there was a whole lot of sour grapes that went on. Not from me because I didn't compete against them. But there was a lot of this talk of how they, some people would say they just interpreted it because it was dramatic interpretation of literature. That was the category that they were in, right? Mm-hmm. And instead of interpreting it, they basically kind of turned it on its head and really looked at it in a different way, and in a way that was not really honoring the spirit of what the competition was about. And so that's kind of the conversation that Bob and I had.
Well,
that was me being Bob, okay?
The British thought that the American Revolutionary Army was cheating because they hid in bushes. So all I can say is America.
We're independent of the British now, aren't we?
Had we not, quote, cheated, we would still be having tea and crumpets.
Okay, so
I like tea and crumpet.
So there you go.
I think they need to make it clear in the rules. Obviously, it's not specified clearly enough that they cannot. It doesn't say they can't do it.
I will bet you, though, there is some sort of percentage rule in the rules. Like you can only have 10% of your sound come from beating a foreign object or whatever it is.
It does open up it does open up an interesting door.
I want to win by beating a foreign object. What can I win? I want to beat a foreign object.
That's a completely different war, and we're not going to go there.
We're not going to go there.
if you can be creative with what you have, and again, they're using their body as an instrument, they're just utilizing the stage as the other half of that.
Right.
They're not bringing drums on. So
right. Well, then the other idea is that if all you're going to do is use your body, then maybe it's slapping against your thighs, or beating your chest, or clapping your hands. And you notice not a lot of them do a lot of clapping of hands either. And I don't know if that's because it's mic dynamics or if because it's not allowed. But I think it's a really interesting conversation. And fans out there, we would love to hear what you think about this. I mean, I think it's a really interesting conversation. Of course, we don't have any inside information to know what the rules are, but we can always speculate, and we love to speculate here at AfterBuzz. But tell us what you think.
The number. Sorry, the call number. People have been trying to call in.
What's the telephone number here? It's 424-256-1729. 424-256 1729. So if you want to call in, you can. Okay.
That number again?
424-256-1729.
Call collect or direct. Call the operator standby to take your call.
Collect. What is all that?
Oh my God, that's an age thing.
Oh yeah, it is. Goodness. You old man.
If you remember that, just give me a thumbs up.
Okay, I want to move on because we're moving on in our hour. The bottom two were Element and Vocal Rush. No big surprise.
No.
Singing Survivor and the Ultimate Sing-Off. I just want to say I love the Ultimate Sing-Offs.
This was fantastic. A good one.
This one was so good. Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a great new addition that they've done.
It is.
It's a lot of fun.
And the previous seasons, the group that would get voted off would have to sing their swan song, right?
And they all had their own swan song.
Right, they had a signature song, and half the time they'd be crying, and I'm not making fun of them, I'm just saying that they would literally be seeing their hopes all dashed, and they'd have to sing their final song to America and go off down the tunnel, and it was sad.
It was kind of brutal to watch. It's like, God, really?
And this is such a fantastic alternative to that, because it's energetic, and everybody's really giving it their all, and they keep saying they left it on the stage, and I'm annoyed with that phrase, but it's so exciting to watch these. Yeah. So your thoughts on this one, you guys, before I go spouting off.
Go.
Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you so much.
I get a little frustrated with the Ultimate Sing-Off, just because it bothers me that is where people really give it their all.
Right.
It seems.
Okay.
Like with these last two groups, the Element and Vocal Rush, it seemed like you saw a little bit, I wrote that, I felt like Element needed a little something to bring a little nasty out.
A little extra element.
And it still didn't bring enough nasty out.
Right.
It's like you got a little bit of, but then, that was it.
Yeah, they were a little bit snarky, and they kind of got funny, but it was weird funny to me.
Yeah, to your point, I didn't understand the hair pulling. That part was kind of weird.
They all hold their hair up like this?
I don't know. It was something we missed.
I thought it was like caveman sort of thing. I didn't know what the hell that was. To me, it seemed like
Maybe it refers to the video.
They were just setting up Vocal Rush
to kill him.
Well, yeah, because they would be nice and legitimate, and we're gonna sing this our phrase, and the Vocal Rush would come in, and first they do a really powerful, and then they come in and then they do a rap, and then a girl you never even heard steps out from out of nowhere and nails it, and it was kind of like, just let us get set up. You guys take this because we're gonna set up our next bit, and here we go.
Totally.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
It's like you can stand there and do the brush off and everything, but Vocal Rush had something different lined up every single time they had to present.
It built every time. Yeah, it was like they were like, here, take it so that the audience can rest for a second, and then come back to us, and we're going to give them something to excite them.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
The rap is what that got me. That's when I knew it. It was like,
done.
But here's what I liked about it, and we were talking about this when we realized what was happening.
Right.
As soon as Element and Vocal Rush went in there, I was thinking, okay, well, Element's been in there twice.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
For sure.
Hopefully it does shake Vocal Rush up enough to go, okay, look, we can't just be the young group.
Right.
We've got to start thinking about what we're going to do here. We've got to, and I don't know if they have anyone in their camp to say, basically, not that we're geniuses, but pull back. You don't have to have this wall of sound. Build up, utilize what you have, and don't do it all at once. I don't know if anyone's there to help them.
Don't you know they're watching these after shows?
Well, it's all over too.
Yeah,
so let me get into my time machine.
Over in September. Okay, so Element got sent away, which I was pleased about. I think it's fine.
I know it's hurting you, Kimlai. I know that's a hard one for you to deal with.
It is so nothing against the girl. This is so not personal by any means, and I really love that everyone agrees so much with us.
Okay, we have a caller, so I want to bring him in. Caller, who are you? Hello.
Hello, this is Shabnam.
Hey, you're a friend of Kimlai's, right?
I am a friend of Kimlai.
This is Miss Bangladesh, you guys.
Oh wow! Oh my goodness!
Wow,
that's another country.
Yeah, thank you for the clarification.
I hate to interject, but I hate Element. I think they're awful group. I don't know how they got to the top 4. It was a really, really, really boring performance. Every time I hear them, I'm bored. The lead singer is constantly screaming.
The Emily's.
It's just it's not a good blend. It's not a good sound. And as the audience member, I'm really turned off every time they come on.
No, did you watch last season of the Sing-Off?
I did.
So do you remember Delilah from last season, the all-girl group from last season?
Nothing like that. Nothing.
So you liked Delilah last season, and you think that Element didn't even bring it as far as they did?
I do. I think Delilah had a much better blend.
Okay.
I think in Element, you have your 3 or 2 main lead singers, like you guys were saying, but there's really no point in that. You've got such a dynamic group, so many voices, and so many opportunities to showcase all these different talents. Why not take the time to do that?
Yeah,
apparently they're stupid.
And I think if you're in a vocal group, particularly doing a cappella, you want to show every asset that every member of your group has to offer.
But there are still a lot of not a lot, but there's at least 2, maybe 3 groups left that have a lot of voices. There's Vocal Rush and Acoustic Cats. 10, but there's 10 is. I think there's more in both Vocal Rush and Acoustic Cats. So they may be having that same issue coming up of, look, if you come out with a whole bunch of voices, where do you go? So,
and I could see that, but, also from stylistically as a musician, which I know that all of you have that background, is why not see that happen? Why not see it just be a couple of voices and waterfall and build and build and build? And it adds a different dynamic to that group that we haven't yet seen from them.
Yeah, I'm surprised they don't do it. I think they're worried about just not doing anything on stage. And it kind of goes back to the whole conversation we had earlier about, having the confidence and the maturity to go, I don't have to bring it. When I do bring it, it's going to be awesome.
Right.
So
who are your favorites? Who are your favorites on the show right now?
Right now, I really, really, really like Home Free.
Yeah.
I am so in my own camp on this.
Oh, I'm sorry, Bob. Could you say it again?
Oh, I was saying I'm just so in my own camp about Home Free's longevity.
He's not a big Home Free fan as far as
I want to be. I just don't see it.
Yeah. Okay. Who else?
And honestly, I kind of like voice play, and I really liked how they did "Don't Speak." Ironically enough, because it was arranged so differently. Particularly the intro, I liked. Up to the bridge, and then it kind of went sour for me.
What do you think about Bob's criticism? Bob.
I really hear Bob's criticism, so I kind of see both sides, but I like their dynamic. I like that they took a chance with that arrangement.
All right.
But what are you gonna check in on whether or not the stage is an instrument?
Yeah, tell us your thought of that.
Yes, actually, you know what? Here's what I think about that. If you have a beatboxer and you're making sounds with your mouth and occasionally clapping with your hands, I don't see why stomping your feet makes that big of a difference.
Right? But what if you were hanging from a guy wire and couldn't touch the ground?
Oh my goodness.
Then you'd be incorporating a whole other element. Of course, you could twang the guy wire, I suppose.
Then you'd be in a Broadway show about Spider-Man, and you would probably be in the hospital.
Right. Exactly.
So now we've gone to Broadway.
If you're not adding a true instrument, you're bringing a different element of a cappella, and this is a new age of music, which I love, and I think that here we are, 2013. We have a show that's allowing people to explore a cappella in a different way than it's been explored before.
Right.
So why the hell not?
Here's the other thing. If I'm going to go see these guys in concert, I do not care if they're stomping on the ground while they're singing. I still think it's a beautiful expression of music, like you say.
And last season, there was a group that actually used a lot of electronic, tricks. And
the pedal thing, right?
Right. While they were doing their a cappella, they would also use a lot of the electronic tricks and stuff.
Yes.
So obviously they weren't able to use that, and that was to their detriment in the thing.
Right, because they really relied on that.
But that's a great point. It's 2013, and we're still, they are rediscovering how to do this with just their voices.
Right.
In this environment and with the competition they have, it's awesome.
Well, we need to move on to our news and gossip. Have you got anything else you want to tell us before we move along?
I don't, but I just wanted to call and check in, and I love you guys, so keep on rocking.
Thank you so
Congratulations
much.
on being Miss Bangladesh.
Yes.
Evidently, it's in a different country.
And I hear you're incredibly gorgeous.
Well, that would probably go without saying.
Okay, thanks.
Stop in any time.
Bye-bye.
All right, let's move on to some news and gossip. We've got some.
Yes.
AfterBuzz TV News.
We opened the show tonight with Pentatonic singing Little Drummer Boy. They have a new album out that's called PTX Xmas, and they were on the Today Show today. You tweeted about it. I happened to be watching it at the same time. They had 2 albums in the top 10 of the Billboard 200 charts, and PTX Volume 2 debuted at number 10 this past week. PT Xmas is number 7. They've been on Conan, Queen Latifah. They were on the Today Show. They were on the Hallmark Channel's Christmas special on Home and Family.
Have you? Are they on Spotify? Do you know?
Yes, I believe. No, not Spotify. I'm not sure about Spotify. I know I've heard them on Pandora, but I don't know about Spotify.
Oh, Pandora? Okay, cool.
Yeah. I bought their first album, and it's so awesome. They're so good, and I'm so happy. They're showing up everywhere.
Yeah.
Their videos are everywhere. Yeah. They've done a couple of their Christmas tunes. Friends I know who are not specifically a cappella fans have been sharing their Christmas videos. They're just amazing, and I'm so happy they're doing so well. It's just awesome.
Yeah.
And we knew them when. We met them.
I know, right?
And Kirsty's eyeshadow, we still want to know what that eyeshadow is about.
That's when we were in our sparkly days.
It was.
Back in the 80s.
There was an article on the Today Show's. Who's calling me? Okay. That the Sing-Off is a competition that is different, and that's what makes it better. So what they're talking about the singing competitions and comparing them like Idol and The Voice and things like that. And they were saying that this is only a $100,000 cash prize, and so obviously it's not life-changing money, especially when you got 15 people in your group.
No kidding.
But one of the things that they talked about several things. The reasons why it's such a great show, the teamwork, and Ben actually talked about it in the article that I talked about last week. There are no divas on this show, he says, and over and over in articles he wrote last season about how it's all about the teamwork. People are really there to make music. They're not there to win. And in fact, a lot of times the competition is a secondary or tertiary goal for these groups. Also, the judges are underrated, they're saying, although there's a lot of love for all the judges as far as I've read. It's a quick run, so you don't have overexposure, and they love the ultimate sing-offs like we do. They're so entertaining. They really are.
You guys, again, I love the short season.
Do you suppose that was something that Mark Burnett?
Yeah.
Do you suppose that's something he brought in?
Well, the first 2 seasons were short as well.
No, the ultimate sing-off, though.
Oh, yes, I'm sure that's what he did. I'm sure he brought that in.
I guess there's a reason why he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's not Miss Bangladesh, though.
No, he's not Miss Bangladesh.
So
ratings
don't get too big in your britches, mister.
Ratings went up for episode 3. We'll see how they go up for episode 4. Mm-hmm. We love that. I mean, the 18 to 20 or 49 demographic, it loves the show. And finally, the Sing-Off is going on tour.
Really?
Yes, a 32-city tour starting off in New York, February 19th, and ending here in Los Angeles at the House of Blues the day after my birthday next year.
Does it say who's involved?
Guess that's what we're doing for your birthday.
I know, right? They do not say, because then we would know a lot of things.
Kind of going back to the early days of rock and roll, where they'd package a whole bunch of different bands, and everyone got 2 songs, and off you went.
Exactly. So they say the tour will be a unique experience for fans of the show to get up close and personal with their favorite groups and experience the magic of a cappella live, because as we know, live is different than we see it on TV.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
I think it sounds exciting.
I know. I would love to go, and maybe we can score some Vippy tickets. That would be great.
Well, it's your birthday,
Tamara,
so you're paying.
And your birthday.
There you go. That's right.
Yeah.
And that's what we have for news and gossip. Let's do some predictions.
Okay.
So we have...
And now, you're AfterBuzz.
Oh, I'm going into an aneurysm.
I was like... Tomorrow
We're gonna switch sides.
Tomorrow
You
is
just sit there.
Tomorrow is a 2-hour episode. Thursday is a 1-hour episode. We will be recapping on Friday. Mm-hmm. I'll be doing it from Skype.
Yes, you will be in the interwebs.
In the interwebs. We have 6 groups
Series
left.
Of tubes.
It looks like 2. So we're going to lose 2 more groups in these next 2 episodes, and the finale is going to have 4 groups in it. Anyone like to make any predictions?
You know,
we've got Vocal Rush and
Ben,
the Acoustic Cats.
Ben said he had no idea.
Right.
He did.
Right up to the end. He just had no idea. Nobody had that thing.
Right.
And I'm right there with him. I just don't have a clue.
There isn't anybody who's standing out as being so amazing. There isn't. I mean, they're good, but
they're good. And then the next week you go, what happened? You were amazing, and now you're not. You know, and then this other group steps up and like, oh my God, you're amazing. And then next week it's like, well, you're being voted off.
2 stand out to me. You guys, my nose is running.
Okay.
Keep it to yourself.
My goodness.
That's all I have to say. I'm going on vacation in 2 days.
You have a very athletic nose.
All right, Philharmonic, we know because they're your people.
I'm definitely down for Philharmonic. Mm-hmm. Down with the brown. Not like that though. And Home Free because Home Free because I like them so much, and they're following me on Twitter.
you know, and
well,
here's
they're
the
not
thing.
following me.
I
just
messaging them. Wow.
There's
Get
like
back to your girl.
There's 2 halves. One is the emotional half where I really would like to see Vocal Rush and Acoustic Cats in there.
Why?
Because I like both of them. I do like both of them. However, I think what will end up is Philharmonic and 10. I think they will be in the...
Wow, and I'm going to say Home Free and Acoustic Cats, so we're all over the place.
This has just been one of those things.
This is going to be so interesting.
Online, feel free to give us your predictions, and if you're right, you'll win the grand prize of a date with Kimlai.
Yes!
Oh my gosh, no you didn't!
No, I'm lying. I'm completely lying. What you will win is the notes from this evening on my piece of paper.
With Steve's gum chunk taken out of the corner. Kimlai, where can people find you online? Where can people find you?
1-800 call me. No, I'm just joking. You can find me at
Kimlai Yingling on Twitter. And she's Eaten Asian wherever it is. Steve is Bottomley Steven. These are the 2 drinking this week. I am not. I am at Tamara Berg, TamaraBerg. Also, my website is tamaracentral.com. Please visit me. Please follow me. I love you people. Love you, Marissa.
Keep the comments coming.
Thank you,
Sean. We do answer them.
For listening. We are so happy that the Sing-Off's back. Thank you for hanging out with us, and we will see you on Friday.
You are traveling, right?
I am.
So you travel safe, and you will be Skyping in from a very safe and secure location.
I'm going to be driving on the freeway with my phone like this.
Awesome.
No, I won't. But we will see you all on Friday for the Sing-Off. Thanks, everybody.
That would be awesome.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.